The next set of problems are similar to the kind of problems that you might have in as a word problem. So this one says, what is the mass of 27 milliliters of mercury? The density is 13.6 grams per cubic centimeter. Well, number one, you want your answer in mass. So this is why I already have the G over here, grams over here for my final unit. Even though it doesn't say how many grams, it does say what is the mass. So we know that we need to get this in grams, and if you'll notice, we've got the density of mercury, which says 13.6 grams. But we need to be canceling out milliliters. Well, can cubic centimeters cancel out milliliters? It doesn't look like it, but actually you should realize that a milliliter is equal and identical to a cubic centimeter. In fact, all three of these designations mean the same thing. cc, centimeter cubed, and milliliter. So I'm simply going to change this to milliliters because it's an identical unit, and I want to cancel out the units, milliliters, and I want to put it in grams, and there are 13.6 grams per milliliter for mercury. Now, this is mercury, and this is the density of mercury. I couldn't use the density of water or the density of something else. I would need to have the density of mercury. And Hg is the symbol for mercury. Density is actually a ratio between the mass and the volume of a substance. When we solve for density, we measure the mass of something and then we measure the space that it occupies. So that's our density. And because this has two units, it will allow us to convert between mass and density. So mathematically, you are going to be taking 27 and multiplying it by 13.6. And the calculator tells me 367.2. I think that's what was on there. Okay. And if we were talking significant digits, I have two significant digits here. I probably should only report the first two significant digits. So I would take the number 367.2. I would round between the 6 and the 7. So that rounds up, but I need to hold the decimal point. So this would represent my answer with two significant figures. The next one goes from miles to inches. And you probably do not know how many inches are in a mile, but you might think about what you do know, and you might be able to take miles and convert them into feet, and then feet into inches. And this is what we call sort of a plan or a roadmap. And if I know those factors, I'm going to need two conversion factors. I'll need one for each of the arrows. But my factors are 5280 feet are equal to 1 mile, and 12 inches are equal to 1 foot. So I need to get rid of my miles first and convert them into feet, and that's 5280. And then I take my feet and convert them into inches, and that's 12. My miles cancel out, my feet cancel out, my answer will be in inches. And on the calculator, I'll clear what's already there, and I'm going to take 5 times 5280 times 12. And I get this great big number. And you can already tell that we really don't want all this number. It's 316,800. Well, if I look at having one significant figure in my measurement, these two are exact. I I really only want one significant figure here, so I'm going to replace all of these with zeros, or this could be 3 times 10 to the 5th inches. Now that might seem kind of silly to talk about 5 miles in inches, but this is just an exercise to have you converting units. And you can change inches in both the numerator and the denominator. Here I'm taking 5 kilometers per hour, and I want to convert it to inches per minute. So the kilometers needs to change into inches, and the hours needs to change into minutes. Well, I don't know how many kilometers there are in an inch, but I can use my metric conversions to take 5 kilometers and change it into centimeters. If you remember the metric ladder, I'm going to go from kili, or from the K to the C prefix, and that is 5 steps. So if I take and add 5 zeros, I will have the number of centimeters. So I'm going to start with 500,000 centimeters in 1 hour, and then I can get rid of my centimeters and go to inches using the 2.54 centimeters per inch. And then I can also get rid of the hours, but look where hours are. Since hours are in the denominator, you need to put hours in the numerator to cancel it out. And I'll put minutes in the denominator, which is where I want it, and there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Mathematically, I'm going to take the 500,000 divided by 2.54, and I'll push equals, and then I'll divide it by 60. So I'm going to bring up the standard calculator so it doesn't take quite so much room. So I'll have 500,000 and divide that by 2.54 equals, and I'll divide that again by 60. And I get 3281. So let's say 3281, and if I round that off to just one decimal place, that would be 3,000, and that would be inches per minute. So that's an example. You can work with both the top and the bottom units in the same problem.